Hi, my name is Elias, and I'm going to be reading my short story, Risen, for you today. This story comes with a bit of a trigger warning, as it deals with the subject of an abusive relationship. If that bothers you, please feel free to skip this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Alright, this is my story, Risen. Candace had never seen anything like the strange white light which had shot across the night sky and crashed somewhere in the forest behind her house. She'd seen plenty of shooting stars. On a clear night in the country, you could see them all the time. This was different, and she had an inexplicable feeling of dread towards the fallen object. She might have been inclined to call the police or the fire department to report the strange occurrence, but she didn't want them on her property. The risk of them discovering that dark secret buried in the soil behind her shed was too great. They would think of her as a monster, and she would spend the rest of her life in prison, a life that had only known freedom in the last few years. She looked out of her kitchen window in the direction of the fallen object and shuddered. There was a soft white glow from behind the trees, casting long, weird shadows across the outside of her house and through her windows. They passed over the shed and the ground where the body of her late husband was buried. Then, like a fire that was running out of fuel, the light began to fade, and darkness returned to the night once more. She watched and waited for it to flare up again, but not once did it. Around 2 in the morning, she decided that nothing more was going to happen that evening and went to bed. At 9 o'clock the next morning, she was awoken to the sound of knocking on her front door. It sounded frantic, and she felt a sudden rise of panic in her throat. Her heart pounded in her chest. She hoped it wasn't the police. She prayed it wasn't them. Fighting back her fear, she took a deep breath and opened the door. Instead of a policeman, she found herself face to face with her neighbor, Mr. Lutz. The wrinkly old man owned a farm a quarter of a mile down the road. "Hey there. I was just coming down to see if you were all right. My son said he saw a big flash of light last night. Said it went down in your direction. He couldn't be bothered to come check on you, so I am." Candace breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. "Yes, I'm quite all right, thank you. I must have missed that last night. I don't remember seeing any bright flash of light." The lie came out faster than her mind could process, and it took her a moment to realize what she'd just said. Now she suddenly felt foolish. If he suspected her of lying, he would get suspicious, and then what would she do? "I didn't see anything either. Maybe he's been watching too much TV or something," he said with a chuckle. Candace chuckled. God, did it sound fake. She wanted to slap herself. "Well, I should head back to the house. I've got a list of things I need to get done today, and that lazy son of mine ain't going to help me do none of them. You take care now." She watched the old man's battered old pickup pull out of her driveway and back down the road. Did he believe her? Did he suspect her of lying in any way? Why did she lie? Why did she have to lie? She slammed the door closed and leaned her back against it. Who was she kidding? She wasn't free. Even in death, her husband was controlling her life. At any moment, someone could find his unmarked grave, and then he'd have the last laugh. He'd have his wicked revenge. That night, she went through the motions of life. She cooked dinner, eggs and potatoes, and drank a glass of wine. She read a book and watched a little TV. She took a bath and put on her night clothes. At 10:30, she climbed into her bed and closed her eyes. Sleep came slowly. Her body was tense, and she was too on edge. There was a knock at the front door. Her eyes shot open, and she clenched her teeth. It was too late in the evening to be Mr. Lutz. He was an old farmer and went to bed when the sun went down. Maybe it was his son? She crawled out of bed and collected the revolver from the nightstand drawer. With a press of a button, she swung out the cylinder. It was loaded with 6.38 caliber cartridges. Another knock came at the door, louder, more insistent. She pulled the chain hanging down from the light and crossed the bedroom. Her front door is just across from the bedroom door. She paused at the threshold, her heart slamming against the inside of her chest, the blood in her ears turning them hot. "Who is it?" she called. Her voice sounded weak, timid. Another knock. It was louder and almost like someone was pounding on the door. She aimed the revolver at the front door through the doorway of her bedroom. Candace! Oh, Candace! Won't you let me in? I'm so cold, and I just want a bite of my sweet candy. Her blood froze. It was the voice of Billy, her husband. Her dead husband. But that was impossible. It couldn't be. She'd killed him. She'd driven a knife straight into his heart. It's so cold out here. Won't you let me in? Said Billy. He laughed, a hideous, evil laugh that made her skin crawl and tears rolled down her cheeks. No, this can't be real. I'm asleep. I have to be asleep, she said to herself. Oh, don't you wish you were? Her hands shook. The revolver felt heavy now. The barrel wavered. Let me in and I'll forgive you for putting a knife in my heart. Go to hell! Oh, I've been there a long time, sweetie. I think it's time you come with me. The handle of the door rattled as Billy tried to open the doorknob. It was locked. Thank God she had remembered to lock it. Open the door, Candace. Open the door. Billy slammed his fist against the door, shaking it on its hinges. He tried the knob again, and then he must have slammed his body against it. The door shook, but held. Listen, we can talk about this. I only want to rip your fucking heart out! Candance pulled back the hammer. Tears still streamed down her face. If she pulled the trigger, the cops would come, and they would see what she had done. If she didn't, Billy would eventually find his way in. She couldn't face him. She couldn't look into his eyes. All the years of torment he'd put her through flashed before her eyes. She squeezed the trigger 2, 3 times. The 38 cartridges punched neat little holes through the cheap hollow core door. The pounding stopped. Her ears rang in the otherwise deafening silence. That was uncalled for. Now I'm going to have to break all of your fingers. She dropped the revolver. It was useless. Now sobbing, her knees gave out beneath her, and she curled up into the fetal position. There was nothing more she could do. I gotta hand it to you. It took guts to kill me the first time, and to pull the trigger again? You might just have a spine after all. Maybe you're not as weak and pathetic as I thought. Or maybe you are. Are you crying right now? Come on, Candace. I thought we'd moved past all that. Through blurry, tear-filled eyes, she looked up at the door and saw one of Billy's eyes staring at her through one of the bullet holes. She felt tiny and powerless under his gaze. Look at you, all alone, scared. Nobody's coming to save you. Let me in. End it now. Or we can drag this out. Either way, I'll get what I want. Go away! She screamed, covering her ears. You're being unreasonable, Candace. Open the door. She looked across the floor at the gun. It was useless against Billy, but it wouldn't be useless against her. She could escape his grasp forever, if not in this life, then the next. Her hand curled around the plastic grip. The steel had gone cold again. It felt heavier now. The weight of what she intended to do made the gun 1,000 pounds. You already tried that, remember? You can't kill me again. I'm already dead. She pressed the barrel against her temple. It was so unfair. What had she done to deserve this? She'd killed Billy, but it had been self-defense. He would have killed her. If not that night, then sometime in the future. He was already killing her slowly. Now he was back from the grave, and nothing she could do would send him back to hell. Oh, Candace. Candace, Candace, Candace. By all means, pull that trigger. Let me tell you, the depths of hell are absolutely to die for this time of year. Her finger slid across the trigger. It wouldn't take much to set the gun off. Just a little pressure. Yes, yes, do it. Billy's voice sounded pleased at the idea. He relished it, and in that instant she snapped from the cloud of black misery hanging over her. Without a word, she aimed the gun at the hole and the eye on the other side of it. She couldn't kill him again, but maybe she didn't need to. She squeezed the trigger and issued another deafening bang as the gun went off in the tight quarters. Billy screamed and howled angrily. He sounded like a demon. "Oh, you are really starting to piss me off," he shouted. "Stick the other eye in. I've got another bullet for that one too," she said. The words were hers, but she could hardly recognize her own voice. "You think you're all that now, sweetheart? Think you have the balls? Guess what? I own you. You're nothing without me. Just a scared, pathetic little girl. That's all you'll ever be." A senselessness came over Candance, and she fired the last 2 remaining cartridges through the doorway. There was a bleak silence. Then she heard the sound of Billy's footsteps as he shuffled around out there. The window in the far bedroom, past the front door to the right and down a small hallway, shattered. She turned back and slammed the bedroom door. Then, rifling through the drawer of her nightstand, she found a small box with more cartridges. She snapped open the cylinder and prepared to load them. The bedroom door exploded inward. Splinters of wood flew through the air. Standing in the doorway was Billy, big, menacing. His body was half rotten and maggot infested. One eye had been reduced to a pulpy mess which oozed black bile and white jelly down his dirty cheek. The knife she had used to kill him still jutted out of his chest. Its blade had turned rusty, and the wooden handle had rotted away. "Honey, I'm home!" She loaded the only cartridge she had into the cylinder, but it was too late. In 2 bounding steps, Billy crossed the bedroom and grabbed her by her hair. His other hand snatched the gun from her and threw it away. She screamed as he brought his stinking face close to hers. "Give me a kiss." He puckered his black lips and leaned in. Candance screamed and tried to pull away. She pushed her palms against his chest, pushing him away. Her eyes caught sight of the knife, and she grabbed the handle, yanking it out, black ichor spraying against her face. Billy laughed. "You really know how to break a guy's heart, don't you?" She clenched her teeth. "Shut up!" she screamed as she jammed the blade upward through the bottom of his jaw and through the roof of his mouth. Billy's grip on her hair released, and he fumbled with that blade handle. His one good eye showed something she hadn't seen yet. Fear. Pain. The knife she'd used to kill him before had caused him pain now, and he was afraid of it. Emboldened by this discovery, Candance screamed. No, roared as she flung herself bodily at him. The pair collapsed to the floor with her on top. She grabbed the handle of the knife and pulled it out, then thrust it in again and again until Billy's face was a ruined mess. But he wasn't dead. He stared at her with an expression of fear and loathing through his one good eye. She thrust the blade into his chest one last time for good measure, then began the tedious and laborious task of cutting him up piece by piece. By morning, she had reduced him to a head, arms, legs, and a torso. Unable to speak anymore, Billy could only watch in horror as Candance widened the hole he'd crawled out of. He knew what she was planning to do, and was powerless to stop her. Such irony. As she grabbed his head and threw it in face down in the cold, bitter dirt, those words came. "Sleep tight. Don't let the bugs bite." Thank you for watching this story and listening. If you enjoy these stories and would like me to continue doing this, please consider subscribing and sharing these stories with your friends or family. But again, thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day,